Hey everyone, my name is Deepali Saxena. So I'm presenting my paper. My paper title is Karma Yoga, Yoga for Selfless Action. So let's get started. So when we speak about karma, the word only means an action. But when we attach the word yoga to it, it gains a very spiritual dimension. All the energy come together to reach that highest state. Now, all living beings have to perform karma. Life cannot be without karma. So let us understand this technology of karma yoga through the lens of doctrine of Bhagavad-Gītā and theory of karma. So let's begin. So karma yoga philosophy starts from chapter 2 verse 47, which says that your right is only to perform your action as a duty. It's not to the fruit of action. It's not to even think about the fruit of action. That is the basic thing it tells you. But when we do our work of ours, in our daily life, we have seated in our mind, back of mind, what would I gain from that action? What would I gain from that action? That motive is there. So desire to get something out of it. So if you have that desire, then that action becomes inferior kind of actions. That is as per verse 49. Now, because the quality of action would suffer. Now, another aspect that comes to our mind is that if I don't have a right to action, then I don't want to perform any action, So here, remember that, don't go towards tamas. Don't go towards inaction. Inaction means akarma. Rather, build your own good kitty of impression and sanskaras by doing nishkam karma, that is detached action. Detached action without desire. And nishkam karma is the essence of karma. Now let us understand how this karmic cycle works. How we can break this karmic cycle of birth and rebirth. So it starts with desires. Desires means vasanas. And these desires creates impressions. And every time I'm doing an action, again I'm, creating those desires and impressions. So what is it? It should be considered like a warning or red flag to me, that some klesha has got activated. Some kleshas are your afflictions. So it should be like, and with these kleshas, which will bear the fruit immediately in this lifetime, or it will add to my karmasya, that is storehouse of sanskaras. So, and what my soul wants? Liberation. Liberation in the spirit of karma. So what should I do? How to break this cycle? We know that every action has a reaction. So it will be possible only when I move out of it. I become desireless, And so the very destiny I create through my thought and action, how I do it, it is very important. The attitude of doing karma. So with the right thing, with the right thing and right action, I will be creating my right destiny. Maybe I can liberate my soul. So this is the way the cycle works. Now, so we should do our actions, we should do our karma, establishing itself in yoga, that is samatvam yog uchyate, remaining evenness in your mind, by remaining, balance in your mind. Further, chapter 270 shloka says that be like an ocean. How is ocean? Ocean is different from lake and river. Even the clouds take away water from it. So, maybe the worldly things may be coming to you in your daily life, but be unmoved, be undisturbed, feel complete like an ocean, like a sthit prajna. So we should, we should take care of our daily activities, what we are doing. Now, finally, it is said that Gita says yogas karmeshu kaushalam, which means excellence in work is yoga, or dexterity in action is yoga. So the action done with discrimination and equal-minded, it is required. Because what happens is, Bhagavad-Gītā tells us that, we have, why it is important to perform karma, why it is important to perform our duty. Because actions are anyway happening around us, through us, but we should act according to our understanding. If we are the victims of aimlessness, impulsiveness, your likes, dislikes, this will definitely, we will be bound by our actions. And actions, we know that are done in mansa vacha karma, in thoughts, words, and deed. So we should be very careful and aware about our action, because we cannot escape our actions. And further, Maharishi Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra has said that according to our karmas, according to our sanskaras, comes our jati ayu ho. That is, jati is your type of birth, ayu span of life, and both is experiences of both pleasure and pain. So we should be, and further he says that our happiness and misery is due to our punya, that is meritful, and apunya, that is demeritful deeds. So both good and bad deeds, karma, generate sanskaras, which binds us to human life. And so law of karma and law of incarnation both go hand in hand. And if I want to give an example of this, it may be like two or three siblings born to the same set of parents. But are all of them same? No. Something, something is there. So definitely it is law of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. So genetically, I've got the same genes, but it is like I'm different. I know what I've gathered in my reservoir of karma. So based on this doctrine of reincarnation and rebirth, we have three types of karma. That is sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, and kriyaman karma. So sanchit karmas are nothing but accumulated karmas from innumerable births of past lives. So it is like you don't have an access to it, you don't have a memory of it. It's a huge storehouse. And if I want to give an example of sanchit karma, it's like when a person is doing archery, what is that? Is in quiver, lots of arrows. So lots of arrows gathered are your sanchit karma. Then comes prarabdha karma. They are operative karma, allotted karma, which you are already bearing the fruits in your current life. So in short, it is the potential I'm born with. And if I want to explain the same example of bow and arrow, the arrows which are there in your quiver are sanchit, but arrows which are released, they are prarabdha. I cannot do anything about it. I have to undergo my prarabdha karma. And finally is the kriyaman karma. So kriyaman karmas are your new karmas from your present actions, both good and bad, of your future life, in this life and future life. Now, question comes, what I can do at this moment, at this given situation, it gets me a chance to change my prarabdha, my future prarabdha. And here comes the concept of free will. Yes, I have got a choice, here, and only human species has this choice. That's all our program. So despite our past sanskaras, despite our past karmas, we have the freedom to choose our present karmas and fashion our own future. Now, one more thing, like it is like if I want to give the example of kriyaman karma, it is how Gautam Buddha has created his destiny. So you can see that. Now, also as per Yoga Sutra, we have four kinds of karmas. Four kinds of karma. That is, let us take one by one. So first is Shukla karma. Shukla karmas are basically white karma, virtuous karma, which the actions which lead to pleasant feeling. They are done with good intention. Like when you do meditation, when you do self-study, when you do tapa, then comes Krishna karma. They are like your sinful karmas. They're actions of bad people who hurt and harm others. So they causes pain. And here the kleshas are very active. The mind is very unsteady. Then comes your Krishna Shukla karma. Third, that is black and white karma. Black and white karma are called as mixed karma or karma of householders, because in their life they do good as well as evil. There is no bad intention, but because of ego and selfishness, they hurt others. And last category is Ashukla, Krishna karma. That is neither white nor black. And these are the karmas done by the yogis at a higher level. They are whose actions are very sattvic and pure. Here, karmas have been reduced, completely, and kleshas has also been reduced. So they are the karmas that is neither black and white with no virtue. They cause no virtue and no vice. So if people wants to follow this fourth category of Ashukla, Krishna karma, then they have to understand what kind of karmas they should do. What are the core principles of systems of karma yoga? So here the term we should be practicing is your acceptance. The acceptance. The prerequisite is karma yoga is acceptance. Simply accept as you are, as the life as it is, as the people as they are, and also as the work which coming to you. Then comes after acceptance. We need to understand our hierarchy of duties. Duties means dharma as per. So in this hierarchy, first is duty towards your own self. Then that comes your family. Then comes your work, which is you are getting. And then finally towards society. If you have time, then finally towards society and nation. And how we should do our duty with, we should do our duty with 100% concentration, and there should be no distractions in our duty, and full participation with full interest. So we have to train our mind to do this. And then also we need to strive for excellence. What is the excellence? Can I do my duty with full excellence? That is, I'm not comparing myself with others, but I'm comparing with that. Can I do my duty better that I performed yesterday? It's very important. Then further, if we go, that is transcending I sense. That is, if our ego is not involved in our day-to-day actions, whether we are doing a skilled work or unskilled work, then that work become higher kind of work, like an offering or surrendering to God. So we should make sure that ego is not involved in our actions. Then shifting the focus. Then also we can sometimes for a short while, we should cut away our mind from outside world, from the hub of the outside world. We should stop to reflect and think about also where we are going. Then also that is a reflection. And then we have to last step of karma yoga is like we have to leave the fruits of action to God. Surrender everything to divine, whatever good and bad you are doing it. So you should surrender to God. Once you review that state of mind, then you will see divinity in everything. So in conclusion, if one decides to follow these principles in daily life, then karma yoga, one wants to apply this principle, then every day offers many opportunities to practice karma yoga. And then what happens, our karma turns from black to white, and from white neither black and neither white, finally leading to kevalya, that is liberation. That is liberation, and strengthening our character and willpower, and our personality becomes wholesome and complete. It also helps freedom from bondages of action and reaction. So karma yoga is like a stress-free action tool. Give your best, do your best, be a karma yogi. And I will wind up by this one line by Dr. late Jaidev Yogendra ji, that value not your action, what you gain from it, but what you become of it. So that is important in your life. So thank you. Regards. Namaste.